In this video, I'm going to break down the most common productivity myths and what most productivity gurus and influencers online never tell you. I'm going to break down 5 most common productivity myths and what you can do instead. And everything that I mentioned in this video is science-based, research-based, as well as based on my own experience that I've been gathering for the past 7 years. I have my notes here so I don't forget everything that needs to be said. So yeah, let's just dive right into the video. So myth number 1 is Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro technique is a strategy that uses timer to break work intervals, traditionally 25 minutes long, following with a 5-minute break. And the theory behind this principle is solid, but it's not good enough if you really want to get good work done. And the problem with this traditional Pomodoro technique is that it is way too short. So if you focus for 25 minutes and you follow it by 5-minute break, it's way too short for you to get into the focused state. Research shows that on average it takes around 23 minutes to get into the flow state and be actually focused on a task at hand. And when you do the Pomodoro technique, you interrupt the cycle and you never get full focus and you will never immerse yourself into the task. Your brain typically needs 15 to 20 minutes to properly recover and get ready for the next work block. The better way to focus is to leverage your own natural ultradian rhythm. Ultradian rhythm is your body's natural energy as well as alertness cycle. It's also known as rest activity cycle. So the ultradian rhythm is around 90 minutes to 120 minutes long, and this is enough time for you to immerse yourself in work and actually get focused and achieve flow state. It's followed by a natural dip close to the end time, since your brain will crave renewal as well as rest. Now, it's important to give your brain 20 minutes to recover after each of these cycles. So once 20 minutes is done, you can continue with the 90-minute or 120-minute cycle again, and you're going to feel focused, alert, and you're going to get your best work done. Myth number 2 is multitasking. Multitasking essentially means trying to perform multiple tasks at the same time and never finishing one task and moving immediately to the next one. A lot of people think that they have this secret talent of multitasking and they can do everything and anything at once, but that's simply not true, and research actually proves that point. According to research, our brains lack the architecture to perform 2 or more tasks at the same time. The human brain has evolved only to perform one task at a time, because else we just don't do our best work. Now, there is a caveat to it, because you can do 2 tasks at the same time without actually draining your energy and affecting your output. And that's, for example, when you brush your teeth and you're listening to a podcast, or you are on a walk and you're listening to an audiobook. And this is different because you create this habitual stage where you're automatically doing these activities. So when you brush your teeth, you don't need more energy, you don't need crazy focus to do these things. They come easy to you because they're habits, okay, and they're automatic. So you can incorporate another activity on top of it, because it won't really affect your focus and the output that you are doing, like brushing your teeth, okay, or walking. So in these cases, multitasking is good. But now what I'm talking about mostly is when you're doing your work. Like a lot of my clients, and myself included, I used to task switch a lot. So I was focusing on writing content, for example, and all of a sudden I had this thought that I have to reply to an email or a Slack message. So I immediately did that, and then I switched back to writing content, and I was all over the place. When you multitask, you reduce your performance as well as speed and accuracy. And that's called a switch cost. And it's because that's the result and the cost you're paying for switching the task. So the more you multitask, the less you actually accomplish. And by constant task switching, like for example, watching a YouTube video or listening to music and trying to get the most important work done, it's actually really, really bad, and you'll never achieve true focus. And some people I've even seen on the internet, they actually watch Netflix shows while they try to work. So that's the absolute worst, okay? And that's not what you want, because you will never get into the flow state, and you will never do your best work during your deep work blocks. Everything you produce while you'll be multitasking is going to be low quality and below average. So that's not really what you want as a business owner, right? So instead of multitasking, choose one task and focus on that task until it's done, and then you can freely move to another task. So the best way to do this is to schedule your days, your tasks, to ensure that you finish one task and then freely move on to the next one. And when you're working on this one task, be present and immerse yourself fully into doing that. Myth number 3 is having multiple displays, screens, and monitors. So maybe you've seen all of these gurus and influencers having, one big monitor, then their laptop, then their iPad on the side, as well as their iPhone and whatnot, right? So you've maybe seen a lot of work setups where usually people have many screens, And this is actually counterproductive. And here is the reason why. Just like with multitasking, you're multitasking with your technology, okay? So when you're trying to work on one computer, you have your one tab open, and then you have another screen next to it, and you have something else, social media, YouTube, or even something completely different than the task you're doing, you're automatically going to be distracted. You will never achieve true focus. And subconsciously, your mind will always know that there is something else distracting you, and you will, without you even knowing, focus on that instead of your work. I fall into this trap too because I used to have 3 screens. So I have my monitor, my laptop, as well as my iPad, and I thought that I'm very productive and efficient by having so many monitors. But later I realized it's actually not the case, because it's the same with multitasking, okay, and task switching. You can never fully immerse yourself into one task because there's always something distracting. It's not only about distractions, but also about overwhelm and anxiety, because as I mentioned previously, subconsciously, your brain can do a lot without you actually knowing. So when you have a lot of tabs open, a lot of monitors around, it's like when you have a messy desk, you cannot focus, and your brain will always feel like it's constantly overwhelmed by all of these monitors, laptops, and tabs, okay? So subconsciously, you will feel stress, anxiety, and overwhelm, which will not serve you to get your work done. And when it comes to tabs, you also want to minimize that as well, because more tabs lead to more anxiety, overwhelm, and distractions. When you're working on a task, make sure that you have just one tab open and just focus on that one thing, and you have just one monitor in front of you. Now, there are some exceptions. Even I have to be honest with you, I have some exceptions as well. And that's when I'm doing, for example, a research for a video like this one, right? I was working, I had my Google Doc in front of me on my main monitor. And then on my laptop, I had some research papers and case studies and stuff like that. It's not distracting me, because when I saw the research and based on that, I was writing my content, I was able to get the task done faster. It was not like I was watching YouTube or, podcasts or Netflix shows while I was doing the content. It was connected together. And these are the exceptions that count. Like when you're also editing a video, sometimes you need footage, and if you can have the second monitor to take that footage and drop it into your, video editing software, then it still counts. You need to be really conscious about how you're working, what tabs you have open, and just make sure that everything works together. You're not distracting yourself with different screens, different activities, and different tabs. All right, myth number 4 is to having a long morning routine. You maybe have heard this before, all these gurus online and influencers claiming that you need to have all of these activities in place before you actually start working so you can feel more productive. Activities like reading, stretching, running, cold showers, meditating, working out, everything at once so you can feel productive. And I fell for that as well. For the past 7 years, I've been in a different morning routines. I actually recorded a video about that. You can find it on my YouTube channel or in the link below, where I talk about my current morning routine and what I used to do before. And I used to do all of these things before I went and started my deep work. And after doing all of these activities, like those gurus say that you have to have in place in order to feel productive and focused, I felt actually worse. I felt more tired, I felt unfocused, and my willpower was completely drained, as well as my mental energy and clarity. So for me to sit down and do the most important task of the day that will actually produce me results, it was kind of impossible. I still managed to do it, but there was a lot of friction. Okay, friction that could easily be eliminated by simply not having a long, complex morning routine. That's why as an entrepreneur, you want to have something quick, easy, and effective that will give you the highest ROI in the shortest amount of time. And if you want to check out how you can do it, you can just go again to my morning routine video that I recorded a while back, and where I describe everything and why and how, and you can replicate that for yourself. But just for the sake of this video, to make it brief, you want to do something for your body that spikes cortisol, so your body and your whole system knows that it's morning and it's time to get going. Another thing what you want to do is you want to also view sunlight or any artificial light, so you can also signal to your body and to your circadian rhythm that it's a morning time, so your body can produce the hormones that will get you going and focused and stay alert. And lastly, you want to do something quick and efficient for your mind that would allow you to get in the right headspace and ready for the whole day of work. And lastly, myth number 5 is planning every minute or second of your day. Now, don't get me wrong, planning and scheduling is very important, because you need to know when you are doing what in terms of activities and tasks, all right? But when this gets wrong and when this gets super counterproductive is when you try to schedule every minute of your day into your calendar. And that's simply because it can cause you anxiety as well as overwhelm. And I've experienced this firsthand, because when I was learning more about scheduling and prioritization and all of these things like planning my day, I was all about planning every single minute that I had precisely, and I had to get it done, and I had to follow the schedule no matter what. But as you know, life happens, and we're human beings, and we're not perfect, and life is not perfect as well. So things are gonna happen, like emergencies, family member needs something just will happen, or maybe your meeting will get delayed, or maybe your meeting will take longer than expected, or you have to rewrite the whole script of your video, or you have to re-record the whole content because your camera was not on. Like, so many things can happen that are unexpected. And by having planned every minute of your day, and then you have to face these unexpected events, you're going to feel anxious, stressed out, and it's going to be very overwhelming. And that's why being so obsessive about every minute of your day is actually not helping you to stay productive and get things done. So I kept going like this for years, and whenever this unexpected event happened, like for example, I was working, I had my plan and that I have to do this type of activity at this time, and all of a sudden my family member needed something, I felt really bad, stressed out, anxious that, oh my God, I didn't get this done, what I'm gonna do. Now I wasted pretty much, or not wasted, but now I lost or invested my hours into something else than what I planned. And now I am so stressed out, anxious, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and all of that, right? So once I stopped obsessing about this and tried to be more flexible to my schedule, everything changed for me and I actually got more done. And I didn't have to plan every minute of it. The biggest solution that helped me, that I also tell my clients, because they experience the same thing about like the obsession about the calendar and scheduling, to schedule mainly your deep work blocks. The work blocks that are happening in the morning, because in the morning there's a low likelihood that someone's going to bother you, someone's going to ask you for something, someone's going to need something from you. Of course, exceptions happen, like emergencies can happen at any point. But essentially, you're going to have more time for yourself in the morning, and you can plan your deep work blocks in your schedule and just focus on that. So in the morning is where you're going to do the most important tasks of your day, your needle moving tasks, and you're going to do them in a 60 or 120 minute intervals. Once you're done with the most important task of the day, it doesn't matter what will happen after that. It doesn't matter if you have to take the whole afternoon off and evening off, because you'll still feel good and you'll still progress within your business because you've done the most important task. And what happens after that, you can keep it completely flexible and you can just let it go, because it doesn't matter. Those tasks, those priority 2 and 3 and 4 tasks that have to be postponed to tomorrow, it won't change a lot for you because you already done what you needed to do. And that's why it's okay to allow life to happen and be flexible. So that's what I always tell my clients. Like, if you manage to get your most important task of the day done first thing in the morning, then what happens after that is fine. You don't have to really worry about it because you got done what you needed to do. That's everything for this video. I hope you liked this. If you did, then hit the thumbs up, subscribe for more content like this, and leave some comments below about what you thought about these productivity myths. And if you have anything else to add, then let me know. I would love to check it out. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.